Hello my dears, welcome back to Let It Cook cooking channel. Today something Tunisian, namely shakshuka. For this we need pepper, salt, sugar and olive oil, coriander, flatbread, tomato, a bit of nutmeg, garlic, feta cheese, a lemon, strained tomatoes, paprika powder, a bell pepper, cumin, Greek yogurt, eggs, a chili pepper or a hot pepper and an onion. In my opinion, shakshuka comes from Tunisia. Feel free to let me know in the comments below where it really comes from. At least I ate it for the first time in Tunisia, and it's the ultimate champion's breakfast. Nice and spicy, really flavorful. I can tell you, if you ever have a bit of a hangover, this is exactly what you need. Let's get started. First, I'll chop up a bit of bell pepper into small pieces. Red bell pepper, you can also use those pointed peppers like this, that's enough. And now I'll just cut it into slightly wider strips and then cut them once more. Because we don't want the pieces to be too big, since later we want to be able to scoop them out nicely with the flatbread. And of course the pieces shouldn't be too big, so just cut them into small pieces now. By the way, if anyone wants such a wonderful lekuk knife, there aren't many left. So take a look, there's only the Santoku left, the other one is already sold out. Check it out if you want. I have a reduced tomato sauce here. If you want to use it, you can learn how to make it here. Yes, I'll give you a little link for it, but you can also just use tomato passata. With the reduced one, it just tastes a little better, I think. Yeah, okay, next, just take the tomatoes, depending on their size, because these are a bit bigger now. I'm going to quarter them anyway, that's fine. If you have small cherry tomatoes, definitely quarter them. If they're a bit bigger, you can also cut them into eighths, depending. Next, finely chop the onion right away. You can also add more onion. Yes, there's usually quite a lot of onion in it, normally. But I've already got some onion in the cooked down tomato sauce. That's why I don't need quite as much now. Chop that up as well. Now I have a pepper here. Normally chili is a bit better, but I couldn't get any chili this morning and this one works too. I just want to have a bit of spiciness in it. I'll use half now so it won't get too spicy. And now I'll chop it up really finely. If you don't want it too spicy, you can always take out some of the seeds from the chili, then it won't be as hot. And now chop it up really finely. Okay, now put a pan on the stove, definitely a pan with a lid. Yeah, because you'll need a lid later. We're going to add eggs, raw eggs, and they need to cook a bit on top. Yeah? That's why we need a lid, so the steam can really cook the egg on top. I'll quickly chop up the garlic now. If you don't want the garlic flavor to be too strong, just remove the sprout in the middle. Yeah, it also depends on how old the garlic is. It's really important to remove the sprout from older garlic. If it's still a bit younger like this, you can just leave it in. And now just finely chop it up. I'm adding 2 cloves of garlic now. If that's a bit too much for breakfast for you, just use one or leave it out entirely. Yeah, that's a matter of taste. I think it's super delicious when it's a bit savory. Okay, so let's get started. First, I always fry the bell peppers and I make sure they get a nice golden yellow color. Yeah, because I think the bell peppers shouldn't be crunchy in this dish. They should be really well cooked through. Okay, let that fry nicely now. And while it's sizzling away, you can already season it a bit with a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar. Like that. Once it has gotten a bit of color, you can add the rest of the ingredients, like the onions and the cherry tomatoes, the garlic, and also the chili. If you're cooking this at home with passata, that is, with this liquid tomato sauce, then go ahead and use a good splash of olive oil. Yeah, I used a little less now because there's already some in this cooked tomato sauce. Otherwise it gets too greasy, but you can just add a bit more olive oil in there and the sauce will be much more flavorful. Yeah. Okay, and it's important that we get a bit of color in there. You can probably see it quite well here. The bell pepper has a bit of roasted flavor now, and that's exactly what we want. Yeah, now it's really important to add a bit of cumin depending on whether you like it or not. Some people don't like it, so just add a little if that's the case, but it's important for that oriental flavor. Yeah, I really like it. I add a bit more of it, and I also always put in a small pinch of nutmeg. That probably doesn't usually go in, but I really like the taste, so I always add a little bit of it. Then also a bit of paprika powder right away. I have, or sweet paprika powder, because we already have chili in there. And if you don't have chili at home, you can also use hot paprika or a bit of cayenne pepper. Yes, that works just as well. While that's sizzling here for a moment, I'll go ahead and mix the dip yogurt. I used a very rich Greek yogurt for that. Now I'll just add a bit of sugar. A pinch of salt as well, a small pinch of cumin, pepper, and a splash of lemon juice. Mix it all together well now, just as a small fresh yogurt dip. Yes, that goes perfectly with it. All right, that's sauteed enough. Now we'll add the tomato sauce. Don't waste anything, you know that, and it already looks excellent. Now I'll just add a bit of cilantro to the dip. If you don't like cilantro, just use parsley instead. Yeah, cilantro is polarizing. There are people, I think it's even genetic. I read somewhere that there are people for whom cilantro just tastes worse and people for whom it tastes better. I'm one of those people who really like that stuff. Just chop it up some more. Now add the cilantro here and give it a good stir. And you can also add a little splash of olive oil here. Give it another stir. It doesn't even have to be completely mixed yet. Quickly tidied up. Now just taste the tomato sauce beforehand to make sure it has a good flavor. It's seasoned perfectly, but for me it's still a bit lacking in oriental flavor. I'll add a bit more cumin so the taste comes out a bit more. Now lower the heat a bit so it stops bubbling for a moment. I think normally there's no feta in it, but I don't care because I really like the taste. Just take a piece of feta and crumble it in here. Just crush it with your hands and crumble it over like this. While it's simmering quietly, I can go ahead and put the flatbread in the toaster back there. I want a crispy flatbread for dipping. We'll just toast it quickly here now. And now the eggs go in here. For that, just take a spoon and make little wells in there. Make a bit of space for the eggs. And then let the eggs slide in there. You know, I'm a big fan of these Hoffman pans. I get a small cut if you order one through the link down below, but I'm honestly convinced by the product. Yeah, I'm not selling you any crap. It's a really good pan. For example, if you want to put it in the oven for a bit, you can just take off the handle and cook it in the oven. That's what's practical about it, yeah, and they're relatively sustainable. Because if the coating ever gets damaged, you can send it in for 20 or 25 euros and get a new coating. You don't always need a new pan right away. Yeah, okay, and now put the lid on. Now we'll let it cook until the egg white is nicely set. Then I'll show you. Okay, that wasn't so bad, mate. It doesn't take more than 4 or 5 minutes longer. Yeah, once the egg white has set, that's enough. I actually like it when it's not too firm. Sometimes it's served really firm. Yeah, but I want the yolk to still be a bit runny in the middle. That's when it gets really delicious. And now you just add a few dollops of this yogurt into the pan. This is such a typical dish. You can just put the pan right on the table and then everyone can just dip right in. A few dollops on top. Wonderful. Then I'll add a little pinch of pepper on top for that nice spiciness. Now I'll add the coriander on top. Depending on how much you want. Like I said, parsley works too. And that's how you can serve it and enjoy. Yeah, a nice toasted bread with it. And normally you just dip it right in. I'll show you now. Look, my egg yolks are still just a little bit runny, and that's how it should be. And now with plenty of cilantro, egg yolk, cheese, and so on, get it right into your mouth. And what can I say? I mean, you can probably imagine that this tastes amazing, and it really does taste insanely good. So Linus and I are about to dive in. This is our first video of the day, and it really energizes us. Hope you enjoy trying this recipe. Give it a go. This is really, really delicious, especially if you might have a bit of a buzz or just want to enjoy it. Leave a like, leave a comment. You know the drill. Tell your friends about us. We need a few more clicks so it makes sense for us to keep producing content. So please, please, please share it. All right, enjoy, and we'll see you next week. Take care. Goodbye.